Hello, everyone. It's Father Norm again. You probably know me by now, and glad that you tune in on a regular basis or even every great once in a while, hopefully for some inspiration or wisdom. Often, what I share with you is what I need to hear, and God speaks to me, and I just pass it on. In fact, that's the way a lot of times I do a lot of homilies too. You know, this weekend is Labor Day weekend. And I know, understandably, for people, especially people who are working and have a daily grind that wears on them, having a day off on Monday is like, yeah, Labor Day weekend, one more day off of work, you know. And again, we do need that rest, don't we? Even in the whole Judeo-Christian understanding that God rested on the Sabbath and reminds us, yeah, we can get too caught up in our work and over-identify with that and be worn down by it. I've seen a lot of people do that. I've had my moments. On the other hand, we can sometimes not recognize our daily work, what we do for pay or not for pay every day, to try to make a little more of a difference in our world, to make it a little better according to what God wants us to do productive activity, that work can be very meaningful, but not just because you do it. Because here's an example, and I probably used this before, that a doctor, yeah, you'd consider a doctor doing meaningful work. A waitstaff, a waitress in a kitchen, at a breakfast place, and not so meaningful as the doctor. And we can tend to measure things in that kind of way. How much money you make, what the significance is, the status the society places on these different workplaces. Well, just real quick, you know, and again, this may be a review of some, but it's a good one for me too, that I remember this one doctor who, got through COVID and all of that, which God bless all the doctors and nurses and the people who change bedpans and all the people in hospitals, and what a difference they made. And for some of them at very low pay, you know. But anyway, this doctor got through that, and out of all of that, was starting to understandably question his work and what he was doing, and it didn't make any difference. And then after COVID, he had many more structures or policies that the hospital had to come up with, partly because of what they learned from COVID. And so he jumped into all of that. But as he told me just a year and a half ago, he was exhausted, he was frustrated, he was thinking, I don't know that I want to do this doctor thing anymore. Maybe I'll go in another direction. I won't have all this paperwork. I won't have all these people, some of which love what I do, some of which complain because they didn't get exactly what they want from me. So yeah. But we talked a while, and at this time, he was still being a doctor. I said, well, what are you thinking? He said, yep, I was about ready to leave. And then he realized, he said, in prayer and talking to his wife, often a spouse can help you, that what had happened to him was some legitimacy. He had lost his reason, his purpose for going into being a doctor in the first place. And that healing ministry and that idealism, even when he started off, that, hey, if I can touch one person this day, that matters. Each person is important. And he said, from get worn out, from as he said, this was a spiritual issue, a faith issue too. He said, he got away from a sense of God, almost like, God, where are you in all of this? And then in a sense, he called himself this way. He said, I was becoming my own God and trying to do it all, heal everybody in just this way, angry and aggravated and wanting to have nothing to do with it. But talking to his wife, and he went on a retreat, he began to see, wow, he got too caught up in himself. He forgot his purpose. He forgot his meaning and healing for him. And one of the things too, in the Judeo-Christian, the Christian relationship too, that Jesus on the cross reminds us there's going to be sacrifice. It can be difficult. It can be demanding. Now, for some people, maybe that's a hint they should go in another direction. Another, it may be, hey, we need to be more deeply committed, more deeply centered in you, Lord. It gives us the strength. One more quick example to compare that with that I've shared, I'm sure, here before too. This was a woman that particularly serves breakfast in the restaurant she's at. And this woman, I think around 50, on her feet all day, but she was so positive, so joyful, so cheery. And I'd say to her, gee, here you do this. Hey, she doesn't make that great a pay, certainly nothing near like a doctor. And everybody doesn't always appreciate the wait staff too. They may be upset, what's it like, or how come it's taken so long. They can deal with all that guff. But I remember saying to her, but you're so positive and cheerful. She said, Father, it's where I focus my attention. First of all, I believe my ultimate employer is the Lord. Secondly, I believe what he calls me every day, whatever the situation it brings, to bring a little more love and guidance and cheer and positivity to people who come here every day. And when I get caught up and have to deal with some of the stuff that isn't so well, it calls me back to prayer to say, Lord, I need to come back to you. I need your strength, your peace. I need to remember this isn't having everybody else think I'm wonderful and appreciate me. It's, Lord, knowing I'm doing your work in faith to bring a little more of your goodness to a world that certainly needs it, possibly now more than ever. What a difference. Two people, but faith with a purpose, making a positive difference, not wrapped up in self, wrapped up in the work being done, and believing in some way that work is partnering with the Lord in making the world a little bit better in some way. God bless you. Think about this as whatever labor you do.